Oh, a little sippy sip.
That was loud. Sippy sip. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
It is March numero uno.
It is. It's a brand new month. Do you make a monthly resolution? Some people say you should start something new. At the beginning of a new month, every month you should start something new.
Well, we're starting something new tonight.
Start saying yes to everything.
Yes. Every time somebody says that, I'm going to say yes to my in-laws. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, that's a great idea. They're going to
my mother-in-law or father-in-law ask anything, I'm just going to say yes.
Awesome.
Whatever you need.
I'm going to ask now, can we start the show?
Yes.
Just like that, it is time to start the EriDan Film Festival.
Yeah, we got the runner at the bottom of the screen down there.
We're all set. We got all the information you need to know down at the bottom of the screen, but we will tell you anyways. This is episode 38 of the EriDan Film Festival for March 1st. I'm Eric, that's Dan, and we are here to talk movies for the March double feature.
Wow, you're so excited.
I was excited. That was the best I had.
So Yes Man is one of them.
We're going to talk about Yes Man.
Do we want to do Yes Man first, or do we want to do the In-Laws first?
I think we go in the years they came out. We're going to be talking about the In-Laws from 1979 and Yes Man from 2008. And as I posted on Facebook earlier today, this is like a book club for movies, right? So
That's exactly what it is.
You watch the movie of the week, and you come and you join us either in the comments section or live, on the conversation we do video wise. And if you don't like to do that, and you just want to listen, there's a podcast feed as well. So you can listen in your car while you're out jogging, maybe while you're working. If you don't want to see us, that's fine.
But that's not right now. You can't do that now.
No,
you can do that later.
But later.
This is the live version. Unless you're listening to the podcast, then yes, this is right now.
Exactly. So nonetheless, we're going to talk about these two movies. We're going to spin a wheel. We're going to talk about a couple of wheels, actually. And we're going to talk about, what else people have been watching. And we want to enjoy your company tonight. So as you're sitting at home in your bathrobe, don't be shy to turn on your webcam and join us, just like Dave is about to do. Because Dave's here to join us as well.
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Hello.
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 Senor Pepe is here.
That's quite a nice.
I like the movie very much.
He's good.
Wow,
he's good. We give you a kiss.
Oh man. But you have a big picture in the shape of a duck that you could take off the duck's head and pour water into your hand.
That scene was just that scene floored me. I actually did a look online. A sea lion decanter like that. They only tend to come in like sterling silver and sell for thousands of dollars.
Oh my gosh, for real! Oh, that's hilarious. Well, and if you're a fan of the show and you've watched us before, you know what's about to happen next. Michael is here to join us as well.
All clear, Michael. It's safe to proceed.
Hello, Michael.
Ooh, I see a backdrop. Ooh.
Oh, look at that. Actually, it's even better when there's a comment up. So we'll see if we get some comments in our section tonight.
I did some tweaks to my stuff. How's my audio? How's my picture? How's it
look?
Yeah, you look good. You're all fancy.
How do I sound?
You sound
great. The best you've ever sounded.
All right, good.
Like
we'll probably keep this configuration from now on.
I think that's awesome. This is tremendous. So we're going to talk about these two movies. We're going to start with The In-Laws, and I pestered Dave because I believe Dave put this movie on the wheel.
I did put this movie on the wheel.
I asked Dave if he could give us a quick synopsis plot so that if you've never seen The In-Laws and you're like, well, I'm waiting for Yes Man, but what is this In-Laws movie? Dave's going to tell us really quick what the story of The In-Laws is about.
Well, the quick background is when the writer was asked to write this, They knew it was Falk and Arkin together, and he just had to come up with a way of saying, how can I know Peter is going to be tormenting Alan for the entire movie. How can I force them to have to stay together? And he was struggling with that. He literally woke up in the middle of the night and went, they're in-laws. And that's how he came up with the premise why they had to stick together. And that is essentially what this movie is. It's like typical buddy comedies, two very mismatched people who are forced to be together. It's not the first buddy movie we've watched. In fact, we did Running Scared, Midnight Run. It's a very well-established comedy genre. And this is, in my opinion, a great one. And it's Peter Falk tormenting the very straight-laced, neurotic Alan Arkin for pretty much the entire movie.
And they're so young.
They are young.
You know what?
So young.
I promised myself a drinking game. Every time somebody says how young they look.
Well, get ready.
Oh, wait, there were
Well,
two
hold
of
on.
you, so I got to do Eric too.
First off, what are you drinking?
This is a homemade soda. My sister, as a Christmas gift, bought me a soda stream. And I'll tell you what, I love it. So
Yeah,
I
those
make
are cool.
sodas, I flavor them.
Nice.
Oh, all right. So that's not like vodka or something where
Well,
I can keep
well,
saying
I
how
will-
young they are.
Well, I will agree with the comment. To me, it was Begley that looked like he was just barely out of diapers.
What about David Paymer?
Oh, yeah.
First movie.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Young David Paymer.
You got young David Paymer as a cab driver. You've got Ed Begley Jr. as an FBI agent.
CIA.
CIA.
So that's right. He's with the CIA. Sorry, I got too many agencies on the mind. Yeah, you've got Alan Arkin as a dentist. And their in-laws with a pending wedding, and an adventure takes place.
Hijinks ensue.
And you had Muriel Rush from Too Close for Comfort as the mom.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Saying, oh, my
yeah.
girl. Oh, Mrs. Rush.
And you had Robert Libertini from Fletch and from All of Me, and who apparently, from the commentary I was watching and reading, that was the hardest parts to film because the entire crew, he was cracking up the entire crew. They literally had to turn away and not watch for the most part when they were filming, because and the scene where he's kissing Arkin, he is deliberately trying everything he can do to crack up Arkin in that scene.
So a quick rundown, as we've mentioned, Peter Falk, Alan Arkin, directed by Arthur Hiller, written by Andrew Bergman. Budget of only $9 million, worldwide gross of $38.2 million. Critics love this movie on Rotten Tomatoes with an 88 and the audience score of 83. So a pretty adored movie here across the board.
This is the reason that I'm an Alan Arkin fan. This movie introduced me to him. I hadn't seen him in anything before this. And after that, I couldn't get enough Alan Arkin.
He said this was the first movie he made that he actually had fun making.
Wow.
Yeah.
It does.
How many movies did he do before this that he did that many movies?
He did quite a few, but he often played heavies, like in what's the Audrey Hepburn movie that he played where he was the horrific villain who's tormenting
Wait
the
Until
blind woman?
Dark?
Wait Until Dark. He often played pretty heavy, unpleasant characters.
Well, Catch-22 was probably his best role.
Mm-hmm.
This was his 19th movie. It took him 19 movies to finally have fun and say, yeah, I think I'm going to do this.
I'm just going to have a good time. Adam Jones in the comments says that he liked this more than the Jim Carrey movie. Not that this is a competition, as we always point out, that our double features are not a competition. But yeah, he said he enjoyed this one more than Yes Man. I had never seen either one of these movies before.
I had seen
It's not a competition, and yet there is a whole list of movies, and we always end up saying, well, it finished above or below.
No. What we're saying is it's not a competition between these two movies tonight. Like, you don't have to say, I liked In-Laws so much. I don't want Yes Man to do well. I keep saying Yes Dear. That's a TV show. I don't want Yes Man to do well.
That all the time. So
Yes Dear.
It's just natural.
Yes. Well, no, that was a sitcom too called Yes Dear.
Yes, it was.
With Anthony Clark. Let's not forget Alan Arkin also produced Adam Arkin, who's a fantastic actor in his own right.
Mm-hmm. And director.
And Peter Falk, of course, you know. Columbo. So there's a lot of things that these guys.
And we've already seen Peter Falk, and it's a mad, 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 mad world.
That's correct.
That's true.
Honestly, I had never really been aware of Peter Falk before Columbo, so I was really unaware of his previous career in the comedy.
Well, he was in Columbo at the time this movie was made. Columbo was in progress.
Now, one thing I was going to do, but of course, time ran out on me today, was I want to do a feature each week, and I'll start it next week with I'm going to have 5 interesting facts that are about the movie. And Eric, you'll have to make some sort of intro. It's like 5 interesting facts. Cinco, do it in Spanish.
Was going to have a countdown?
How interesting they are.
Number 5.
Yes, number 5. I did enjoy that the flight attendant was the maitre d' from the Seinfeld Chinese restaurant episode.
He has been in so many films.
He always plays a Chinese guy. It's amazing.
James Hong has been playing the eccentric Chinese guy, any movie that needed an eccentric Chinese guy since 1960.
Yeah.
And that was his idea to do that whole thing in Chinese. He was auditioning for the part, and he just started doing it that way. And the director just started cracking up and said, basically, you've got it.
I was waiting for him to say, Seinfeld, party for 5-10 minutes. He goes, I said Cartwright. I said Cartwright. Somebody call her for Costanza? Yeah, I said Cartwright. Nothing? Anyone? All right.
Anyone?
It's an impression. I'm not making fun of Asian people.
I was waiting for your Peter Falk impression, actually.
Incidentally. So David Paymer's first movie, which we already mentioned, and I did have a note. There you go. You got to cross one eye and then bring the other one over. So you have the
one more thing. One more thing.
Oh, that hurt. We both had to take our glasses off. And I was saying, Ed Begley Jr. looks so young. I thought it was Ed Begley Jr.
Mike, you're supposed to drink again because that's another comment about how young.
But it's not like an alcoholic beverage. It's not fun.
Yeah, but at my age, I'll have to pee 7 times. So
I've peed twice since the show started. Anyway,
wow.
But I do have to say there are. I love the cars in movies. I mean, the Mercedes he had.
Well, I think that was the only link I could find between the two movies is that both had main characters driving BMWs.
Yes. I got flames on my car.
Yes, the BMW was awesome with the flames. The
computer
painting,
spray, car painting, automatic car painting.
Like I know you can get there's 1-day paint in LA, but you can't drive. It's not like a drive-through. They still have to tape stuff off. You can't just go in like a car wash. You come out with flames on your car.
That's the future. Just wait. That's your $1 million idea.
Well, you can wrap a car quickly, but not that.
Yes,
quickly.
but it never wears out and it can't be painted over.
I love that. I also love when he's like running a serpentine and he goes to get the keys. He goes, "You're dead, right?"
Good.
And then he runs straight back. He goes, "No, serpentine." So he goes back.
Yes.
And then he comes back doing the serpentine.
This movie's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's not just a buddy film. It's a caper movie because there's, at the end, the plot does a little wraparound and
well, I will say, and okay, I didn't love this movie, but I'll get into that later. But what I did think was great about this movie versus the 2003 remake, which we watched both, is what I thought was there's a great premise in this movie, and there's a great, well, what is the deal with Peter Falk's character? Kind of like that they really leave hanging and to the end of the movie, and so you always sort of have that in the movie. As opposed to the 2003 remake with Michael Douglas, where it's pretty clear from the get-go that of what's happening. He's
the real deal.
He's the real deal. He's some sort of, he's definitely involved with something. He's not just a nut job. And there's always that sort of like, the Peter Falk's performance in this, I feel, is excellent.
Well, Falk said that he felt his job in this, and I guess the director was his real direction was you just have to be likable. You have to make, no matter how much crazy stuff you're doing, people have to want to like you and root for you. And if you can pull that off, this will work.
Well, my favorite thing that I read about it.
Sheldon even says that at one point. At one point he says, "There's something sweet about him." He's
Yeah.
He says it about both characters actually.
A
He says
dentist
it
named
about the
Sheldon.
dictator too.
Can we touch on that for a second? A dentist named Sheldon that ties to the movie When Harry Met Sally. Sheldon, if you want your teeth drilled, Sheldon's your man. Make love to me, Sheldon is not a thing you'll say when she's talking about her friend Shelley. But when the In-Laws 2003 came out, Alan Arkin called Peter Falk to congratulate him on all the great reviews he was getting from the critics for calling the original as they trashed the remake. So
The remake has quite the cast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They did not pull back with what they were trying to do.
I think Douglas may not have been a perfect casting. He's a little too suave, but casting Albert Brooks as the neurotic is definitely good casting.
He was spot on.
That was top notch. Yeah.
You got Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
And you got the best friend from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Come on. They went all out with the casting.
Yeah, when you're saying that, I'm looking at the names here. I don't recognize anybody from that movie except Michael Douglas and Albert Brooks.
If you watch that movie, you'd be like, wait, I know her.
On Ryan Reynolds.
Albert Brooks, the most understandable stage name in history.
Well, yes, of course, because his real name is Albert Einstein. That's one you have to change.
Why?
I don't know. His brother Bob Einstein didn't change, although he was Super Dave Osborne.
Super Dave,
for a long
yeah.
time.
That's crazy.
But when he was Marty
Super Dave was Albert
Funkhauser,
Brooks' brother?
yeah, the late Super Dave.
I did not know this.
He passed away a couple years ago. He's also Marty Funkhauser on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yep.
We're learning so much tonight.
I know.
This is fantastic.
All
There's a
right,
quiz
so
again.
I think you guys, I think most of you are all in the same camp, except for maybe me and Adam. And so, anybody else have any comments about this movie before we do slap on a number to this masterpiece?
Bergman was saying when he was writing this, he literally did not know from day to day what was going to happen next. He literally wrote this almost, like it flowed. Like he'd get in a situation like, I have no idea how I'm going to take it from here, and he'd wake up the next day and he'd take it from there. And they also commented that the scene where Arkin calls Ed Begley's character and he says, "Oh, he's nuts. We had to kick him out of the agency and people were getting killed in horrible ways." He said, the whole audience is going, "Okay, this makes sense now. He's a crazy person." And you think you've got it. Of course, you don't. And that's one of the great parts of this movie.
yeah. Yes.
You're never quite sure.
Yes, I think that plays well, and they don't have that in the remake at all, which I feel really is
And I love when Begley brings the $50 savings bond, and the daughter's about, is tucking it into the giant envelope full of cash.
Oh my. All right, let's throw a number on this. All right. So as we have discussed, we do slap a rating from 1 to 100. We ask everybody who's watching to participate. Here is the giant list. Now
I like the flagging of the Christmas movies.
Well icons of Christmas and comedies, because eventually we will be adding different genres, and we are going to keep a single list of the movies we watch, but they will be denoted with a fancy icon. So this is where we fall so far with the movies we've watched. And where do you folks put the In-Laws?
Well, as the one who put it on the wheel, I'm willing to go first.
All right.
This is a top 50 movie for me. This is one of my all-time favorites. The casting is brilliant. The writing is excellent. The direction, it may not be in your wheelhouse, and I can certainly understand that. But if it is, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but it hits every button, and it's to me a solid 95.
Wow. Excellent.
All right. I'm going to go second because I'm going to say something similar to what I said last week with the Buck Privates. If you are a fan of comedy movies, if you ever want to write a comedy movie, if you ever want to be in a comedy movie, this is required watching. Just like Buck Privates is, because there are certain movies of certain genres that you need to watch to understand. So with that in mind, I'm going to give this one an 85. Did I love it?
Respectable scores.
I liked it. Did I love it? Yeah. I mean, obviously I gave it a B plus, I think. Is it a movie I'd watch again if I saw it flipping the channels? Yes, and that to me automatically gets it over an 8 just for that. So that's my score.
All right, Mike.
There
You
are
want to go
so
first?
many good.
Next, Michael, or do you want to hear mine?
I will let you go last. I'm pretty sure you're gonna skewer all of us.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
I am in the same boat as you. I love this movie. I was 17 when it came out. I saw it in the movie theater. I watched it every time it was on HBO. I used lines from it over and over again. I'm such an excellent driver. It's incomprehensible that they would take away my license. And Peter Falk and Alan Arkin play so well off each other. And everyone is cast so perfectly. It's almost like Dan says, this is the kind of movie you need to watch if you want to learn how to put together a good film. I find very little wrong with this film. I still laugh every time I see it. Even though I know what's coming at the end, I still find new things. Like for the first time, I noticed when she picks up the envelope, the big one filled with cash, and puts the check in it, Alan Arkin casually reaches over and pushes it down out of frame. And just stuff that I hadn't noticed. It's just so good. I'm putting it right up there with you. I'm giving it a 95.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah, apparently Falk has there's certain lines that people constantly would come up to him on the street and saying like serpentine. They would just come out of nowhere.
I also love that he left that lady with all this shit in her mouth. Like,
Mrs. Edelman.
Yeah, she can't close her mouth. She can't close her mouth. It's, well,
You cannot bite down.
Well, there's Adam's score.
Yeah, there's Adam's score. I'm
Which
doing
for a movie from the 70s is a solid score from Adam.
That is a solid Adam score.
this isn't my movie. I think that is what makes this interesting, as we've talked about before, is that we have all sorts of different people and different kinds of movies. It was fine. I was a little bored. The editing to me felt very slow and just didn't seem to flow very well. I think like a recut of this movie would be interesting. It to me, it was fine to have on in the background. You know, it was like watching QVC. It's like, oh, that's fine, but I could walk away at any moment. I'm not going to feel like I miss anything. But is it negative? Is it bad? No, it's fine. But it just didn't do much for me. So I'm doing a 64 on this one because I liked it slightly less than Buck Private, which I gave a 68. And Dan's mother's in the comment and said she wasn't funny. It wasn't as funny as she remembered it. And so she gives it a 75.
So nobody tracked
off the board on this one.
Yeah.
If anyone else wants to give it a score before we start talking about Yes Dear, not Yes Dear, I keep saying Yes Dear. Yes Man. Yes Dear.
Wow.
I know. It looks like Rick Burdine's talking about first off, where have you been, Rick? We haven't seen you forever.
Yeah, we haven't seen Rick forever.
He keeps talking about Jackie
Gleason
Gleason and some bitch. I think you're talking about Smokey and the Bandit. Which is not the movie we watched.
A different movie. He's watching a completely different episode of this podcast. So yeah, if you want to throw a rating out for In-Laws, do that now. But make sure you write In-Laws next to your score so we know for sure what movie you're rating. And we can move on to our second movie of our double feature, the wildly different Yes Man, Not Yes Dear, with Jim Carrey, Zoe Deschanel, Bradley Cooper, written by a whole slew of people, directed by Peyton Reed, budget of $70 million, a worldwide gross of $223 million. So it did very well at the box office, but when you look at the critics score of 46 and the audience score of 66, maybe people, everybody ran to see it, but maybe they don't love it in hindsight. So Jim Carrey, and I asked Michael if he could give us a little rundown of what this movie's all about.
All right. Well, it starts out with the main character played by Carrey, Carl Allen, who is in a rut in his life. He's still despondent over his ex, having trouble getting over her. He's got a job that's just to him gray and unfulfilling. He's actively avoiding his friends and self-quarantining himself 13 years before COVID-19. His character is so forlorn and down that you start to root for him right off the bat. Well, he runs into an old coworker played by one of my favorites, John Michael. Wait, what the hell's his name? John Michael.
Yeah, the guy who's
John
been in
Michael Hall?
he's been in every
What the hell?
every Christopher Guest movie, all of the Waiting for Guffman, he's in
John Michael Higgins. John Michael Higgins.
Yes.
John Michael Higgins, and what a great cast! I mean, Zoe Deschanel, Bradley Cooper. Oh, so get back to the plot. So he runs into his old buddy John Michael Higgins, Nick, and Nick tells him about this fantastic self-help guru that he's invested his time in, and drags him along to one of the guys' shows. And by the end of the thing, he gets so swept up in the rhetoric that he agrees to a covenant with Terrence, played by Terrence Stamp, who just excels in this. He gets into a covenant where he agrees that he will start saying yes to everything. Now, unlike Liar Liar, it wasn't a spell. He wasn't forced to do it. Unlike the other movie with Jack Black, where he's hypnotized into it by what's his name? He does this willfully and on his own. Decides, what the hell? I'm going to say yes to anything. My life is in such bad shape; it can't get any worse. And of course, despite the fact that he starts to get in trouble, his whole life turns around, and by the end of the film, he's in love, got a new girlfriend, and blah blah blah. And let me tell you about this cast. I mean, Bradley Cooper. I love me some Riz Darby, Danny Masterson before he became a sexual predator. Of course, Terrence Stamp, Molly Sims. There's just so many. This cast is so good, and they're all so well cast, and they're all so well done. I actually found myself enjoying this film much more than I remembered. The weak link in the whole movie, Jim Carrey.
Yep.
I think that if you had cast maybe Tom Hanks would have made the film much better than it was. Jim Carrey, despite
you could have put Bradley Cooper in that role, and I think it would have been
yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't find Jim Carrey in this role. I didn't. I mean, it wasn't the annoying Jim Carrey of the Ace Ventura era or the over the top Jim Carrey. I feel like he did dial that back in because he had done just a stream of more serious movies. He had already done The Truman Show and Eternal Mind. I didn't mind Jim Carrey in this.
I didn't mind him. I just didn't.
I don't mind him. I think your point's
he's
right.
He's not cast right. He's not. He's just not the correct actor for that role.
He's the glue. He's the Seinfeld of this show, of this movie. Like, he's the guy who, if his name wasn't on it, it would not have done $200+ million. That's what did the money. And yeah, Tom Hanks might have done that. Tom Cruise might have done that, but there weren't a lot of people that could bring that much money in. So they put him in, and they put a really good cast around him. So I agree with that. He also took no upfront money for this movie. He took 36.2% of the gross.
That worked out.
Yeah, he made a lot of money on this movie.
That worked out pretty well.
Oh, actually,
Even
the profit,
Hollywood
not the
accounting.
gross. Yeah, the profit, not the gross. So he still made his $20 million, I'm sure.
But I did think my only real complaint with the casting, and I mostly agree with Mike. I think that role could have been perhaps better cast, but I thought Carey did well. I felt Bradley Cooper was largely unused in this. I mean, his role really didn't require much of him.
This is pretty
and
early
have
in this
an
movie,
actor
wasn't
as
it?
good as Bradley Cooper in that role, it was really not that critical.
He was just a friend. Yeah, it was
Well, he was still relatively new on the scene, so
I suppose, yeah.
Long before the
So that was before Silver Linings Playlist, and yeah, okay. Yeah.
Now, what's amazing with Bradley Cooper, I'm just looking at the order here, because I think that was very early in his career.
Let's see.
2008. What had he done before that? Kitchen Confidential, Wedding Crashers. He had a small part in Law and Order Special
Rocker.
Victims Unit. So yeah, I mean, this pretty much Sex in the City he had one episode of. This might have been one of his very first starring roles in a movie.
His first real starring, his breakout role was in The Hangover, which is a year later.
Yeah,
right. That gave him the what's the word I'm looking for? It gave him the clout to be able to expand out from. I mean, he's pretty. He's pretty to look at. So it's difficult to cast someone that good looking in other stuff. So the Hangover gave him the clout to go, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do that. And then you see him in Silver Linings Playbook. And then you see him in what was the remake of
A Star Is Born.
Thank you. I blanked for a second. And then
He's really good in that.
Yeah. So
but he was doing the voice of what's his name the whole time.
Okay, so be honest. Did anyone go to PersianWifeFinder.com?
Not yet.
Not again.
The night is still young.
And Limitless. Limitless was a good film too with him.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he played a part on the TV series too.
This does dial in. Okay.
The TV series was really good.
Yeah, I missed that from Limitless. But I feel like Yes Man does dial in to. I mean, this is there are probably 50 movies like this, right? That's like, oh, you're a little depressed, your life isn't going well. Here's one little thing that's going to happen to you, sort of, Liar, Liar, Freaky Friday, whatever it is. Sometimes it's magical, sometimes it's not magical. But if you would just make this change in your life, everything would turn out so much better.
Joe versus the Volcano did it better.
True.
Yes, that's true.
So I mean, it's not. I don't think it's, I'm not, it's not Oscar worthy. But I will say I enjoyed it. I was in a better mood after I watched this movie than I was before I started it.
However, I found that unlike The In-Laws, where I had a lot of quotes that I noted down, like this to me is a very forgettable movie. This is a movie, if you ask me in 6 months, I'll go, yeah, that was the movie where he said yes to everything. I really don't remember much else about it.
You could confuse it with Liar, Liar.
That's what happened to me. That's why I was surprised. It was better than I remembered it because it's forgettable.
Yeah.
It also, but if I say, what about when she put her dentures in the? Yeah, everybody remembers that.
Okay, fair enough. Adam does not enjoy Zooey Deschanel.
Really?
Yeah, I find her.
How about an Elf?
Did you like her in Elf? I liked her in this. I like her band. I like She and Him, the band that she's in, that, has multiple albums.
Maybe
how about her sister?
Chanel. Maybe he doesn't like Chanel.
Maybe it's just, it could be.
Or he doesn't like Dave.
Let's each their own.
Yes. So, yeah, I did like this movie for sure. I did have a positive feeling after watching it.
Well, I think it might be time to let's throw a number on this sucker and let's rate this one. All right, so please remember, this is not a competition against the In-Laws, but you can certainly rate your score based, similar if you're have.
Did your mom put this on the wheel, Dan?
My mother did pick this one.
That is correct.
So, Mom, go ahead and you get the first score.
Yeah, we'll wait till Mom rates it, then I'll go.
All right, there you go. Perfect.
Because you have no filter, Mike.
Danger. Or he has no danger filter.
I don't want you to be swayed.
I will say again, is this a movie you have to watch? Like I've been saying about the other ones, like if you want to be no, this is not one of those movies.
Well, unless you want to write this kind of movie. I mean, I think it's a fine example of a simple, uplifting, positive story, of.
But there's nothing that this movie does that some other movie doesn't do better.
That's true.
I think it's a good example of that kind of movie.
Well, Eric, the biggest thing I agree with is there was no magic to it. Like the fact that he started saying yes and things started going right had nothing to do with the magic spell.
Although the moment he said no, everything started going wrong. Almost.
But don't you find that happens in life? Like as soon as the football announcer goes, he hasn't missed a field goal in 17 games in a row. Boom, he misses a field goal. Like it just happens. So if you keep doing good things, all of a sudden you do one bad thing, then all the shit starts to happen. Like I always park on this space. I'm going to park here today. Oh, I got a ticket.
See how that works.
Yeah. Mom,
did your mom rate it yet? I'm waiting for her. I'm waiting for her score.
Well, why don't we go ahead since,
All right. I'll go because you tasked me with the plot. All right. Like I said, I love the supporting cast. The story is not unpleasant. Dave is right. There are other movies that do it better. In fact, there are other movies with these cast members, and all of them do something better than everything else they're in. So, but I enjoyed it. I oddly enjoyed the film. And in the scene when she's skeet shooting and she turns around and everybody hits the deck, I laughed out loud. So if I laugh out loud once, that ups the rating a little bit. You know,
But
so
wait.
Before you give a number,
Wait.
we've got Dan's mom's number.
Yes, man. I like the message and how he turned his life around. It's good to be positive.
I agree with her.
Okay.
I agree with her. And that's the thing. This movie, I went as high as 95 for the entire cast. And then, wait, no. And I took off 5 points because the plot was something we've seen a bunch before. And I took off another 10 because Jim Carrey, it was either miscast or just didn't do it for me. He was just the wrong guy. So I'm giving it an 80.
Well, you dropped 15 points. Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'll go next just because I also gave it an 80 for different reasons. But nonetheless, I agree that it's not overly memorable. It's not going to be on anybody's top 10 list, but it's a very pleasant experience to watch. It's a nice romantic comedy, and it just, as I said, I felt I was in a much better mood afterwards. That I'm like, oh, that was just a nice uplifting, and there were multiple times that we laughed out loud. So I'm at an 80.
All right. Well, I'll go next, I guess, because I didn't see Dave looking like he wanted to go next. I don't know. I remember taking an acting class once in California, and the acting teacher said about learning the power of no. The exact opposite of the theory of this movie. She said, if you learn how to say no to things, if people ask you to do a favor, if you really don't want to do something, just say no. Then you're not afraid to ask when you need something, because people are afraid to ask because they're afraid of rejection. But if you always go out and if you're able to say no to things, then you're able to accept rejection better, which I thought was interesting. But that's, the actor's journey is basically getting told no 99 out of 100 times before you finally get told yes, unless you're Jim Carrey. But I did like I said, it was a funny movie, and it was a positive movie, which I like anything positive. And I actually was thinking of an 80 as well. So I'm just going to stick with that and go with 82, 80 also.
I'll throw up Adam's Adam really did not like this movie.
Oh, we keep clicking on the same thing. There we go.
He gives it a 35. He felt it was a ripoff of Liar Liar.
Now,
you want to go back and watch Liar Liar again to see how I feel about that comment. Well, it's been a long time since I've seen
Liar Liar was at Carrie's peak.
Well, another thing about this movie too is I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Blacklist, which is it's like a Hollywood list of you can put your script on. It's like unpublished scripts, and people vote every year on these are great screenplays of movies that were never made, or these were all passed on this year. And this movie was like one of the winners of 2007, and it got picked up after being on the Blacklist. So there is a huge organization and there's a huge thing going on with the Blacklist where you can actually look at movies that made it through the Blacklist. So this was not a movie that was just made to be a Jim Carrey vehicle that, hey, let's make another version of Liar Liar. I do see Adam's point, but I also think that it wasn't made that way.
I feel like the mystical aspect of Liar Liar puts that in a whole different category. The fact that he had no choice,
right, he had to tell the truth.
I appreciate this movie for the fact that it was a choice that is something he was doing. All right, Dave, how do you feel?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it in a sort of, in a sort of a throwaway movie kind of way, a movie that won't live long in my mind. And it had its good points. Terrence Stamp was one of them. He was wonderfully cast. And unlike Adam, I enjoyed Zooey Deschanel in this role. I don't like her in everything, but I enjoyed her in this role. She fit the sort of, happy-go-lucky, seemingly without a care type of character that was such a contrast to Carrie's character. It didn't have anything that it excelled at, though, to me. You know, if you talk about turning your life around, Bradley Cooper, even though it's not as much of a comedy, Bradley Cooper did it much better in Silver Linings Playbook. It had nothing about it that it did. There was like, okay, there were a couple of times I laughed out loud. When he's sitting at the outdoor diner and they pan back and Farinoush is sitting next to him, I laughed out loud at that. Because I love a good throwback. And that was very well done. And even though it wasn't that funny, because it's one of my childhood favorite movies, when he's watching The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, I loved that.
Wow.
Because I loved that movie I was as a like 7 or 8, 9 maybe. I loved Don Knotts. He could do no wrong. I mean, the Apple Dumpling Gang, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. I just absolutely loved Don Knotts as a kid. And I loved that movie.
I actually rewatched The Ghost and Mr. Chicken not long ago.
Did anybody catch that one of the movies that Jim Carrey was holding in the video store was The Cable Guy?
No, I missed that.
No, I missed that.
Wow.
But anyway, my score is a 75. So not bad. That's a pretty solid score.
I don't know. Absolutely. If anybody else in the comments hasn't had a chance to score, I don't know if anybody's out there who wants to, but if you can, just write the words yes, man, and what your score will be. And at the end of the show, we'll tell you where everything lands out. Now it is time to talk about. Oh,
wait. One more thing I forgot to mention, because I did have my 5 things I was writing for this one too.
Oh, geez. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but the movie was actually written based by Danny Wallace. He wrote a memoir. In 6 months, he did nothing but say yes to everything, and he kept a memoir of what happened to him.
Wow!
So he is actually in the movie very quickly as a little thing, and also the bungee jump was actually Jim Carrey.
I had wondered if that was actually him.
He refused to use a stuntman. The insurance company refused to insure it. And then the producer said, how about we do it as the absolute last thing we do? So the movie is done. And the insurance company said,
this way if he gets killed.
Right. But the insurance company said, you can do it once. And that's it. So they had 8 cameras on him. But Jim Carrey insisted on doing it. He also actually learned to play guitar. And he actually learned Korean. So a lot of the things in the movie that he did, like, step off the ledge, that was actually him.
And one thing I did like was that even though many of the things that he said yes to ultimately came around to do him well, not everything did. Which, if everything had lined up
in a glass beside the bed,
he was flying the piloting. That didn't really do him any good. But so it wasn't like, again, wasn't the supernatural. Everything works perfectly for him. So I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it did make them think he was a terrorist.
Now, I do think if you get more spam, the amount of spam that comes through email nowadays, the callers that are calling you now saying yes to everything is really.
You know how many extended warranties I have on my car?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it could get really bad. Amazing. All right, I guess it's time to debut our new Wheels of Reels. And let's do that. All right, so here it is, the Wheel of Reels, where we are going to start by spinning our genre wheel so that we can talk about different types of movies besides just comedies. So we have developed 6 different categories for the movies that we may be watching. Obviously, comedy will remain as one of our choices. We will be doing, so we're referring to those as funny features. We have our serious cinemas, which will be our dramas, fight flicks, which will be action and probably some kind of adventure, geek show, which is our sci-fi and fantasy, Mind Messin', which is Dan's favorite effed up movies, and potpourri, which is anything and everything that you might want to watch, from animation to musicals to cult classics to what will ultimately be a disaster of a category.
EriDan home movies, everything's on there.
EriDan home movies, absolutely
not available.
So I guess we need to talk about this. The only thing I was going to suggest is that maybe, since this is our first week debuting this wheel, maybe we
comedy.
Turn off comedy for this week, so that we do have an option of doing something different. If everybody's good with that, comments, good with that.
Good with that.
All right, so we're going to turn off the funny features, take that out of the wheel for this week, and let's see what happens. Ah. There it is. Oh boy. There it is. Okay. Gonna dive right in the deep end this week.
Wow.
Serious cinema. We're gonna talk about a drama movie. So obviously, we have not had an opportunity to collect movies for this.
Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
So
you can watch Yes Man or No Nanette.
Is there a Yes Dear movie that we can watch?
That was a
Yes,
TV show.
Dear.
No,
So,
it's Dear
all right.
John.
So we're looking at we need some suggestions for some serious cinema.
Adam's
Since I've
already
mentioned
upset.
it twice already tonight, I'm going to go ahead and put Silver Linings Playbook on there.
There you go.
Stay in a Bradley Cooper kind of mood.
Now, see, this is where, because movies can have multiple genres,
Well, of course.
Absolutely.
and
And could end up in multiple wheels, so if you have a drama that you want to put on this,
I have a movie that I love. It is a time travel movie, but it's also a drama,
okay.
and it stars Christopher Reeve.
Oh boy.
Somewhere in Time.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
I think my thought is I think we're good with that. But once it appears on one wheel, it can't appear.
Oh yeah, I would never put that in a time travel movie. Because, I mean, I would never put that in a sci-fi movie because there's nothing that the time travel. There's no machine. There's, you know what I mean. There's no special effects.
Well, that's true. Adam Jones throws out the Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh, good choice.
Filmed in Ohio. A friend of mine, a comedian named Pete, if I remembered his last name, it would be a name drop. Pete George was in that movie. His ass was in that movie. He was one of the guys in the shower. He was one of the other. And I said, wow, are you union? He goes, well, I farted once, so my ass is union.
Wow, and you're good friends with his ass?
No.
This name drop is sponsored in part by showering. Just because you don't have to go to work anymore doesn't mean you should give up showering.
And it was the shower scene. Look at that.
See how I did that?
Wow.
Clever like that.
Do we have on the wheel of genres? Do we have a romance section? Because I've got one I want to suggest, but
I think
romance
drama
could
is
be
romance.
potpourri or drama. It could be many things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're good under drama for romance.
all right, I've got two, and I haven't decided which one I want yet. So, have any of us not gone?
I haven't gone. Drama's hard for me. I'm not a serious movie guy.
I mean, are any Marvel movies drama?
No, those would go under action. They would all be action.
Oh, except the first Hulk movie. That really, there was no action or sci-fi.
I'm going over a list of movies right now
I'm having the same problem you are. I've got so many good ones I want to watch.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure eventually they'll make it to the wheel. So.
Well, speaking of Somewhere in Time, since you guys are thinking, I totally forgot Terrence Stamp was General Zod. And it's like, I'm like, why does he look so familiar to me? Why does he look and they're like, oh my God, it's Zod from Superman 1 and 2.
Oh, wow.
I totally forgot that that's who that was.
He was also in Get Smart. He's been in a bunch of
he
stuff.
was Siegfried in Get Smart.
Yeah.
My mother is picking.
Terrence Stamp is in a great sci-fi movie about Mars. Red Planet, I think it was.
My mother is picking Greatest Showman.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's a musical, though, right?
That is a musical, but I mean, we don't
for example,
have a category.
I would not think, for example, putting Dumbo up here would be inappropriate. It's just because something is animated or has music doesn't mean it's not a drama.
And it says musical / drama, therefore it counts.
There you go.
Yeah,
if it has
you could put
the word
Inside
in it.
Out up on here.
Yeah.
No, not the greatest.
Well, that's
Home
true.
Movie.
We should see when we pick one that we're not sure of. We should see what IMDb calls it, and that would be its predominant thing.
They tend to put like 4 or 5 different.
Yeah, if it's that's what I just did that, and that's why
science fiction, comedy, drama.
Exactly.
Exactly.
but the predominant, whatever the first one is.
I think we go as long as it's on the list, because I think we can get, we've run into the problem with comedy before.
I would say if it's the first 2, because if it's like 9 things listed, then it's everything.
Ultimately, it's whatever EriDan says it is.
That's true too.
There is
right.
that.
It's right.
And my mom.
I said, Eric, did you pick a movie
right.
yet?
I have not, but I see. I'm looking up a movie or two, and it's like, well, no, that doesn't come up. All right, drama is listed as the 3rd thing for The Big Short. It's biography, comedy, drama.
The Big Short's definitely. Yeah, I forgot about
Not
that.
a comedy. It's not a comedy.
Not a comedy.
We're gonna put this in. Well, I'm putting that in as mine. Why not?
All right.
Not the Big
I have it-
Shorts. That's a totally different movie.
Those are Big Shorts. Yeah.
I have it down to two Humphrey Bogart movies. I'll let you guys help me decide which one. Either Casablanca or Maltese Falcon. Which one would you rather have me put on this week?
I love them both. Casablanca has a more coherent plot.
Okay.
Yeah, do Casablanca.
Anybody else?
I think
I've never
Casablanca. It is.
Oh,
I say Casablanca because if you haven't seen it, that's a movie you have to have seen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that in your.
I think everybody's put in one, which is what we're gonna do tonight. And obviously, when we revisit this wheel again, you can put more movies on. So I think we're all good. Everybody's good. Everybody's ready. I believe so. That sounds like a resounding yes. All right, let's spin this sucker and see where we're at. All right, there it is. Bradley Cooper.
Linings Playbook.
There it goes.
Two Bradley Cooper movies in a row.
Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence. Yep.
Just like that. That was easy peasy. So, all right, there we have our movie for next week, our first non-comedy movie.
Has everyone seen that already?
I have not.
Not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw it a couple years ago, so I need a refresher.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, that'll be great. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but as always, if you're having trouble finding it, send us a message on our EriDan Facebook page, and we'll help you figure out a way where it is streaming, where you can watch Silver Linings Playbook for next week. Excellent.
Quick backstory about my T-shirt. Danger, no filter. My sister listened in on our Friday social hour last week, and apparently my brother-in-law guessed more of the ones from your game than anyone else did. But my sister said, you're the only one that used foul language. Nobody else did. So I did this, wore the shirt, danger, no filter, so that if she's watching this one, she'll get the call back. Also, if you guys noticed, I didn't use a whole lot of foul language tonight.
Oh, man. We
Eric
appreciate
cut me off. Well, now I don't have to click the explicit when I upload the podcast.
Well, the show's not over yet.
One of us still has time to screw it up.
You might have some colorful language when we talk about what else people are watching. All right. So, anybody watching anything else besides? There's a lot of movies when it's a double feature, so I get that. This might have taken up all your time.
I've been watching
2 movies takes up all your time. I don't buy it.
No, not my time.
That's like taking one dump.
You need more fiber in your diet.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I watched The In-Laws. No,
just to interrupt 6 seconds. Silver Linings Playbook is on Netflix.
Oh, excellent. That should make it
excellent.
Easy. So I wanted to share that I watched Monster Hunter, which is Mila Jovovich, and a movie based on a Capcom game, just out 2020. Wow, was this not great?
Well, name a movie based on a video game that was.
Well, I mean,
Tron.
Honestly, I have no trouble sitting through the Tomb Raider movies.
No, Tron was a video game based on a movie, not a movie based on a video game.
Are you sure? I thought the game was already out.
The movie was first.
Oh, by the way, the arcade that he goes into is in Culver City, and it's actually where the Comedy District, my comedy club, was located. I didn't know that until I was watching the movie. I'm like, oh my God, that's our building. So that was
I did
cool.
think of one. Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh yeah.
No.
Wait, did that game exist before?
No, but it has so many references to other games.
It's not based. It's not like
Hubert. You've got all these other games that
the
are.
Pac-Man movie was
part
horrible.
of it. Yeah.
So Adam Jones shares that he watched a Woody Allen movie last night called The Front and the Four. What?
Oh no! And for the life of me, I don't see why anybody thinks he's a good actor.
I have never heard anyone say Woody Allen was a good actor.
No, Woody Allen.
He's a writer and a
Allen is
director.
credited
He's
for
not
being
an actor.
Right, yet exactly right. Good writer, good director. His his dialogue flows naturally.
Well, Nebuchadnezzar.
I will mention the Super Mario Brothers movie if you're talking about a movie based on a video game. Bob Hoskins.
Sure.
But now
You went there, didn't you?
Hunter,
You tried to out Howard the Duck.
you got Mila Jovovich in this Monster Hunter movie. It's directed by the same person who directed all the Resident Evil movies, so Paul W.S. Anderson. And so it's very similar in style to it. Clearly they thought they were doing something special. I don't know. I've never played the video game, so I couldn't judge it based on that. And it was one of those movies, as I've mentioned before. I love watching a movie cold where I know nothing about it. It didn't help this movie at all.
And you still wish you knew nothing about it.
I really do. Adam says that the new Mortal Kombat movie looks good.
I have a problem with anybody that's got two middle initials.
So you're not a fan of J.R.R. Tolkien?
No. If it was J.R., I would be. But J.R.R., well, no, that's three initials. That's okay. If his name was John R.R. Tolkien, then F him. See,
so George R.R. Martin is right out then.
Exactly. That's why I've never watched Game of Thrones. Never seen it. Here's what I'm watching.
What are you watching, Dan?
I pulled an Eric, and I've watched all the Marvel movies. Not in order by any means. I watched them based on, let's see what happens with this one next. And the main reason, I'll be honest, is I don't know as much about Marvel as I should, because I would go to the movie at the theater and that'd be it. I wouldn't see it again. And I wanted to know more about still Wanda and Vision, because I'm trying to get all caught up with that, and learned a lot about them by watching all the movies that they were in. And I was trying to watch The Hulk, which is part of the universe, but it's not on Disney Plus. And it's because it's a Universal movie. And I finally found it. And Ed Norton, he's okay, but I don't know why he's wearing such a horrible wig the whole movie. Like he's wearing like a Mark Ruffalo wig. It's like, just hire Mark Ruffalo. Why have his hair? It made no sense. Although the coolest part was when he's in whatever country he's in at the beginning and he's watching TV, there's a scene from The Courtship of Eddie's Father with Bill Bixby. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Bill Bixby.
And let's face it, there's no way he was wearing a worse wig than Lou Ferrigno wore in the TV show.
This is also true. So I'm watching that, and I started watching The Flash on the CW because I'm watching Lois and Clark, and I want to see that Superman and Lois, and I want to see that Superman actor in other things. So
well, you've got to go to Supergirl. And I forget which season it is, but the first two episodes of one of the seasons features Tyler Hoechlin Superman. Find those and watch those. Then you'll get. He's
also there's some multiverse episodes where he's on the Flash and Arrow and Supergirl. It's like a
there's two crossovers from the ending of last season and the season before. He's in both of those, but his first appearance is in those two Supergirl episodes. You need to watch those to get the first impression of Tyler Hoechlin.
I just like a Superman that doesn't have a clean shave. To me, that's it's like if I was Superman, like right now, hold on, I got to go shave.
How would Superman shave?
He shaves
with a razor.
How is he? That Kryptonian razor that he has, or something?
Here's one of
his fingernails are that sharp. You can just.
Here's one of the fan theories. Actually, the fingernails is one of the fan theories, but the other one is this: from his ship, from Krypton, he was able to scavenge things, and he was able to make a razor, make needles, so that he could sew the costume from the fabric which came from Krypton, so that his costume would be invincible. So there was enough stuff on his ship that he was able to do these little tiny super necessities for his super life. I have been watching Scrubs, and man, oh man, that show, even though it's only 20 years old, it did not age well. There is a lot of sexist stuff in that show that you wouldn't be able to do now. It's still one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, and you could take out the racist and sexist stuff they put in, and you'd laugh your ass off. And the other thing I watched in preparation for Friday's sequel, I watched the first Coming to America from 1988.
Oh, very nice.
That's on my playlist. Yep.
Yeah.
You got to watch it before Friday because that's when the sequel comes out.
So
I don't have to watch it before Friday because I don't think I'm necessarily going to be watching the sequel on Friday at 3 a.m. or whatever it is. But
might be. If Scrubs was on Disney Plus, they'd have to have a disclaimer the way they do in front of certain Muppets episodes.
Yes,
yes, most definitely. But it's on Amazon Prime, so
this was a different time. But we're leaving this in. But it's like how I agree with what they said on Saturday Night Live, which is if you see a disclaimer before a Muppet episode, how are you not watching that episode? Like I only want to watch those ones.
That's the one that Grover's in blackface.
I had a friend of mine ask me for my thoughts. He goes, "What are your thoughts on this?" And he called it censorship. And I corrected him. It's not censorship. It's the opposite of censorship.
Yes.
It's a warning so you can decide if your kids can watch it. And here's the thing. It's only 18 of the 120 episodes.
Yes.
And whoever leaked this or made this a big press release is a marketing genius.
Fox News.
Because I had no idea Disney was doing the Muppet Show until I saw that headline.
Yeah.
Well, and even something like that I'm against that Disney has done, like withholding Song of the South from digital release since the Laserdisc release way back, it still wasn't censorship. I mean, censorship is the government stifling free speech. Rights holders to properties can stifle them all they want. I may not appreciate it. I may not like it. But, Lucas was within his rights to do the stupid things he did with Star Wars, but it wasn't censorship.
I just wish that people would learn what the First Amendment really means and stop saying, yes, you can't ban me from Twitter. That's against my First Amendment rights. No, it's not. It has nothing. If you were arrested for saying something on the side of the street, that's taking your First Amendment rights. Or if you decide to practice your religion and they say you can't, that's your First Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with censorship.
And also, the First Amendment is not a freedom to say whatever you want. Because if it were, there would be no libel suits. You can't jump up in a crowded theater and yell fire. You'd get arrested. I can't say that Eric is, I can't even think of something to say. Or I can't say Dave is or you are. If I say something that is patently false about you, that's not freedom of speech.
Well, no, the best description I've heard of it is you have the right to say it, but it doesn't guard you against the ramifications of what you've said. Mm-hmm. So you can say fire in a movie theater, but you will then suffer the consequences of that action. You can slander somebody, but you will then suffer it doesn't mean you can say whatever you want with no consequences.
It's like when Letterman used to mock CBS on his show. And he would say, well, hopefully I'm still here tomorrow.
Right, but the government's not going to come
John Oliver constantly mocking AT&T.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I watched.
We all know it.
I watched an old because it had been sitting on my TiVo for a long time, and it's a movie I do enjoy, even though Welles did not consider it one of his best by any means. I watched The Stranger with Orson Welles and Loretta Young. Edward G. Robinson, right after the end of World War II, Nazi and one of the early, if not the earliest, Nazi hunter films, basically.
Wow,
good movie.
Nice.
I've seen that. That is a good movie.
I did at everybody's suggestion after watching my heist movies. I watched Tower Heist, which I do realize
that was Mike's suggestion.
That was Mike's suggestion, and I had seen it before. I had forgotten a lot about it though. Very enjoyable movie, but I get really tired of Alan Alda being a jerk. It seems like in so many of his later movies, he's always the jerk.
Well, because he was such an awesome guy in MASH. He had to become a jerk.
He's a nice, reliable guy at the front of the movie, and then by the end of the movie, he's a jerk. And it's like, there's got to be a list. There's got to be 12 movies where he does that. But, an enjoyable movie. Fun.
Was there ever a movie where Tom Hanks was a real jerk?
Big. That little kid.
No.
That little kid in the face.
Well, he plays a hitman in what was that film we did with Daniel Craig? I'm drawing a blank.
Because usually I think there's two actors that I always think of. You always hear, even people on talk show when they've been on a movie with them or a TV show, they say just the nicest guy in the world to work with, and it's Tom Hanks and Henry Winkler are the two people that always get praised that way.
Yeah, and Ron Howard.
Road to Perdition.
Howard hasn't acted in a long time, really.
Yeah, but as a director, everybody says he's awesome.
Oh, sure. As a director, yeah.
And he worked with Tom Hanks. So Adam brings up something. They retcon Superman every damn series. It's frustrating.
Well, they did Spider-Man too.
Yeah, but the word retcon has really come out a lot in the past month. I've seen it in like it was rediscovered or something. I don't know if it's just I'm just noticing it all of a sudden. But like they talk about WandaVision, retconning the MCU, and all these things. Has that word become a new one? Is it like, am I having a Mandela effect here that I forgot that word?
It's been around for years, but it's certainly come into more constantly increasing use.
Yes. So anyway, Adam also said that he's glad Boseman won the Golden Globe. Did anybody watch the Golden Globes?
I
Not
tried.
yet.
Mike, weren't you an extra on the Golden Globes? Oh, different. That was a different show.
That was something else.
That was the Golden.
Those were different globes,
Globe.
wise ass.
I might have seen like 20 or 30 minutes of the Golden Globes in parts. I thought it was interesting. They had all these actors and celebrities in their homes, to accept awards and speeches. Some were very well lit and audio, and others looked like they were using the webcam off of their HP 13-inch 1979 PC.
Using their iPhone 3.
There was some rough. Some people were very well dressed. Some people were in sweatpants. It was all over the place.
And no one was wearing pants.
Well, why would you bother? Goldie Hawn had like 40 people over to her house. I have no idea if they all got tested before they went over. There was a lot of people.
That's her staff. They work there.
That's possible.
Al Pacino fell asleep. I didn't see that.
He looked like he was falling asleep when I saw him. He was at home. He was on the couch.
They keep pulling me back in.
Any surprises with the Golden Globes? Anything you said? Oh my God, I can't. I mean, Borat did well.
I did not know that.
His movie won, and he won.
Wow. It's not really a movie I would expect to win, to be honest.
Well, he won a lot of movies last year.
Yeah, that is a good point. He had a narrow field.
Tour got completely shafted.
But Trolls World Tour was still out.
Yeah. That's true.
Hey, for Adam, to address Adam's comment about Superman, I read a great article the other day. I linked it in the comments about why Superman's powers over the course of his existence in comics have changed over and over again. When he first came out, he couldn't fly, and he could just jump very high, and he wasn't as all powerful. He was, but over time, Superman has changed. But like I addressed last week, Superman's main power is the fact that he doesn't let the corruption get to him.
Well, just to speak to that, I mean, the catchphrase is "leap tall buildings in a single bound." Well, that's kind of silly when you can fly.
But they did say, "Look up in the air. It's a bird. It's a plane."
Yeah.
It's Superman.
But Spider-Man, the current Spider-Man incarnation, the Mary Jane character is completely different than the comics or than any of the previous Spider-Man versions. So it's every time, whether it's a new studio getting a hold of it or rebooting it with a new actor, they do that in the comic book realm. That's just par for the course.
Well, I remember going to see the Ang Lee version of the Hulk.
Yeah.
I went with my buddy Bert in Los Angeles. We're sitting at the Grove watching it, and this guy fell asleep. I might have told the story before. Guy's sound asleep, and he's snoring, and we're throwing popcorn at the guy because it's just it's that annoying. We could not get the guy to wake up. But there's a point where like the Hulk jumps over, he leaps over like Superman, and my buddy goes, "The Hulk can't do that." And I'm like, really? This is the one thing that forget the fact that his pants somehow still fit, and then they shrink and they still fit and they turn purple. But the jumping is the thing that's unrealistic to you. But we did get a free ticket. We went to the manager afterwards. Apparently the guy had been there for like 3 showings of the movie and they couldn't wake him up. So they kept giving people free tickets.
The Snyder Cut.
The Snyder Cut is coming out. That's this month sometime, right?
Yeah, I think the 18th.
Snyder Cut of Justice League, and Adam points out that it's 4 hours long.
Yeah, and
4 hours.
just in time for
watch
Joss
in one
Whedon's
sitting.
reputation to be already shot, right?
Well, I'm kind of excited. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested since they've done additional filming, additional editing. Maybe Superman's weird face will
which
be
really means it's not the Snyder cut anymore. I mean, that's like Snyder's complaint from the beginning was he had shot and edited this great movie and they took it away from him, and Joss Whedon reshot parts and edited it and made it much, much worse. Well, now that Snyder's got it back, he's reshooting and re-editing parts. It's like, no, you had plenty of time to see what people hated, and now you're fixing it. That's not quite the Snyder cut.
But I'm interested in seeing
Snyder recut.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's the Snyder edition. I'm all right with that. It's additional content. It might be entertaining.
But is it Snyder's of Hanover or Snyder's of Berlin?
Ooh, it depends. Is it chips or cheese curls?
See, that's a thing that only Western Pennsylvanians get.
That's a very good point.
All right. Well, I think we've hit a lull, which is a perfect time to say goodnight.
Is it time already?
Well, I mean, we're
Is there a theme for Friday? You can come back and see us on Friday night for the fun-filled Friday night social hour.
Social hours.
But next Monday, we ask that you would watch Silver Linings Playbook and be ready for an intense conversation. Our first non-comedy movie. Drama. It's good.
Now, next Friday, we will begin every Friday we'll be talking, because this is now the 1 year anniversary of doing shows live on the air, since the 13th was the first time I did a show. So we will do a little flashback each week on Fridays. So I've got some clips from the Orlando TV show that also Michael's in, maybe some New Orleans stuff that Adam will remember, maybe some EriDan videos. You never know. So
if you're listening to the podcast and you're like, well, what's this Friday thing? Because this movie thing only comes out on Mondays. You've got to go to the EriDanShow.com, which will take you to where you can join us on Friday nights, live video streaming with games and fun and
But don't they usually say when a show reaches the point where it's doing a clip show, it's jump the shark?
Oh, no, that's when you hit your anniversary show. That's a good thing.
This is not a clip show of the EriDan show.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to show you clips show. Of this.
Yeah, this is Dan's actual life.
This is your life.
Dan Rosenberg.
This is
your life.
And the comedy special came out a little over a year ago. And if you haven't watched it yet, it is available on Amazon for free if you've got Prime. If not, it's like $2.99. And the CD of it is also available. You can just say to your Alexa, you can say, play Dan Rosenberg. Alexa, play Dan Rosenberg.
No, it's going to be, Alexa, order the Dan Rosenberg comedy CD.
Hold on. Oh, there it is.
It's like that. So
and Bainbridge Performing Arts, they just made a half a penny.
How about that?
Everybody's Alexa.
All goes to a good cause.
Yes, and that is we're just trying to get the hand dryers to be paid for by. We've already raised over $5,500. We have Dan Rosenberg overexposed hand dryers at the new Buxton Center at Bainbridge Performing Arts.
All right, guys, before we go, a quick plug. I am going to watch the second episode of Superman and Lois tomorrow night, and I'm going to try and get a review up on my YouTube channel by the weekend. We'll see if that works or not. And then next week I will be reviewing Coming to America.
And Michael, how do you find your YouTube channel?
Oh, you need to go on YouTube and search for Michael Menza, the Mad Expert.
Awesome. Check out.
Or go to my website. My website
reviews,
is at
watch them all.
Oh, wait, he's giving his website.
Yes, please.
www.menza.net.
Nice.
Menzanet.
That should get you to my website, which, by the way, on my website, I put the stuff we do here so that you get you can link to the film festival podcasts, both present and past. I put them all on there, as well as my own past reviews. And soon there will be articles and written stuff.
And you could become a member of Menza.
It sounds like a medication.
Yeah, but they spell it wrong.
Side effects of Menzanet include
laughing.
No. All right, so before we go, I know people are dying to know where we ended up with the final rankings for this.
Oh, yes.
week. The In-Laws came in at an even 79, so it is in the first column, just below Spaceballs, and above Joe versus the Volcano. And the Yes Man ended up with a 72.5. So it is between Clerks and The Man with Two Brains.
Just slightly behind Buck Privates.
So yeah, just slightly behind Buck Privates. That is correct. So
and a reminder, Silver Linings Playbook is on Netflix for everybody.
Yes.
Good night.
Senor Wences.
Good night, everyone.
Dave has a date, so he has to go.
Oh yes.
Take your teeth out. Take your teeth out.
Oh, that's the wrong picture to put in my head before we say goodnight.
Oh, good night.
Or maybe it's the right picture. Who knows? Good night, everybody. I'll see you Friday.
The left picture. Okay, good night.
Goodbye.